Okay, next we have Learner Data Management with Dr. Christian Grant and Dr. Dean Hogan.
Let's do that. Hey everyone, so my name is Kristen Grant and I'm a computer science professor here in the School of Computer Science. Surprise. So I'll just introduce myself and then I'll let my colleague Dean Hogan introduce himself, and then we'll just describe a little bit about the project we're doing. I got my PhD from the University of Florida, and so my expertise is in databases and text analytics and combining the two. We have several different projects going on. I'll let Dean, we have one project that we're collaborating on. I'll let Dean describe that one, but another project that you'll see why it's related that I'm working on now is with the USDA. We're building a system to track cattle over time. So there's this Animal Welfare Act that got passed a year or so back, and you may have seen in the news that any experiments with animals requires a lot of oversight, and there's been a lot of mismanagement of that over time. So institutes like companies and organizations like the USDA need to track all the experiments that go on with these animals. So it's not just one simple coin flip. It's a complicated experiment over years. So you track what's the mother of a calf, what did the calf eat each day, what type of feed did it eat, where did it move. So there's a lot of information that's tracked over time about these animals. And so at the USDA, they're looking at how do you produce the best quality cows for consumption and for selling. Right? So we're building a system with them to track all this information over time. And so when we heard about this opportunity to create a learner data management system, we thought, hey, how people are easier than animals, right? And I do work like that and some other work with integrating analytics inside of large data systems. That's what I did for my PhD. I think anything else important? So we do some other things. I'll let Dean Hogan introduce himself too before we describe the project.
All right, thank you. So I am Dean Hogan. I'm also in the School of Computer Science here. I got my PhD from the University of Minnesota, and before that my bachelor's degree from Iowa State University. So I spent pretty much most of my professional career on Interstate 35 heading back north and south here. I came to OU in 2001, and I've worked on a number of projects with a number of different entities, but not yet with the FAA. So I'm very excited about this opportunity to work with the FAA. I actually do have a former PhD student of mine now, Dr. Ware, who's actually working for the FAA, but he's in the area of radar engineering and software as opposed to the technical training side of things. Have done a number of projects related to data integration and learning from data, ranging from Department of Defense with DARPA and the Army Research Office, currently looking at a possible collaboration with SOCOM, the Special Operations Command, also in the private sector, everything from big international companies to tiny little startups, and here at OU itself, in terms of user interfaces, back in the days when smartphones were new and almost no university had a smartphone app, OU came to me and said, we'd really like to have an OU smartphone app, so I oversaw the first development of the OU To Go, which was the first smartphone app from the University of Oklahoma. The particular project that Kristen and I have together that he was referencing is with WNI, which is a big weather analytics and information company that is headquartered out of Japan, but they have their Oklahoma Innovation Center right here on the OU campus because they want to be close to OU professors and OU students. In terms of those students here at the School of Computer Science, we actually have an exponential increase in the number of our students recently because the word has kind of gotten out that we do good things with our computer science students here. And we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 National Merit Scholars here in computer science now, just large numbers of really high-quality students going off to work at various companies, whether it's Google or Yahoo or Microsoft or whoever. Some of them will also stay in the Oklahoma City area work for companies that are headquartered on the OU campus, near the OU campus in Oklahoma City, and so forth. This particular project that Kristen mentioned with WNI, what we're doing there is bringing data from a lot of different sources. So they've got weather data in particular that they're working with, but there's also all sorts of data related to shipping. So one of the things that they do with their data is they advise ship masters on the routes that they should be taking as they're making, coastal voyages or big ocean crossings and so forth. So you have some big freighter in the port of Shanghai. It needs to get to the port of Los Angeles. It's going to take 3 weeks. What are the routes they should take? There's all sorts of data that has to go into that, data about the ship itself, data about the weather that's coming up, what's the port congestion like, what are the environmentally sensitive areas on the way. Some of that data is public data in government databases. Some of that is private data in different proprietary formats that needs to be brought together, sometimes because they're not a shipping company themselves. They are advising these shipping companies. The different companies will be providing them with different types of data in different formats, and we need to find ways to bring these things together and make sense out of these. And we want to be able to do the same sort of thing with the FAA training data. So I guess I'll turn it back over to Kristen, and you can talk about the project itself. All right?
Thanks, Steve. All right, so, okay. Yeah, so this project, so as you know, there's a lot of training that goes on across the FAA. So people are storing their training data, training records in different formats, some proprietary if they're using different technologies, some open, some bad, some good. So what we're going to do for this project is we're going to take the first, let's say maybe a quarter to half of the time frame surveying the different technologies used across the FAA, and we're going to survey how they're storing their data, how they're storing their information, what records they're using, and then we're going to design a system to integrate all the records across the FAA, so all the training modules, and then on top of that, we're going to track. We want to add analytics on top of the database system to be able to track and discover outcomes and do predictions of the trainings across the system. So there's across the whole FAA. So there's a lot of challenges with that, as you can imagine. Not only the different format types technically, but there's some organizational challenges as well. So which subgroups will allow us to use their information, what information is personally identifiable, and there's some techniques that we can use through our expertise to kind of skirt around or to alleviate those issues. So by the end, we should have a large system that integrates all the training that you guys are looking at. So if you want a record for a particular pilot or for a particular air traffic controller, then that should be easily accessible. So we're looking forward to working with our industry partners as well, computer systems designers, and we're excited to be to start this project. So thank you.